So how are Sunni-Shia relations in Britain, and how do the communities here feel about what's been going on across the Gulf region? Well, joining me here in the studio is Dr. Ammar Nakshawani, who's the Imam Ali Chair of Shia Studies, and Dr. Ather Hussain Al-Asri is a Sunni Imam and writer. He joins us now from Leicester. Good evening to both of you, gentlemen. Dr. Nakshawani, let me start with you. This is a divide between Sunnis and Shias that's been going on now, 1,400 years. And we've seen how the tensions have escalated across the Middle East. But here in the UK, how are relations between the two communities, would you say?
I think the relations between the two communities are very positive in the UK. There's some fantastic initiatives which I believe deserves more media attention, where Sunni and Shia leaders have come together to try and bring peaceful coexistence amongst each other. If you look at the Muslim Council of Britain, for example, or the Muslim Imams Advisory Board as another example, as well as a number of initiatives on the university level, you see that Sunni and Shia communities are not allowing any of the tensions that may be seen in the Middle East to affect them over here. And I think it's very important for us also not to always translate what's happening politically in the Middle East as always a Sunni versus Shia tension. Sometimes there are other proxies. Sometimes there may be fights over land, fights over oil.
So it's basically a power struggle, is what you're saying.
Sometimes there are power struggles that are taking place there. Sometimes the Sunni and the Shia both condemn the acts of certain countries there. Sometimes the Sunni and the Shia are against ISIS. Nobody ever mentions that. That when people hear about ISIS, they think there's an automatic division in opinion between Sunni and Shia, whereas there are many Sunni and Shia who have come out, spoken out against ISIS. Sometimes the grievances are against, for example, injustices that they see. They see a cleric being killed in Saudi Arabia. Today there was a statement by the Al-Khou'i Foundation where Sunni and Shia imams got together and they made a statement against what happened in Saudi Arabia. So I think there's some great work going on. There's excellent dialogue in place, and we need to build on that.
Well, let's just hear from Dr. Ather Hussain Al-Asri, because I could see you nodding there, Doctor. Are you in agreement? Are we oversimplifying it to say this is all about Sunni versus Shia?
First and foremost, I'd like to clarify that I wouldn't term this as a Sunni-Shia divide. I would use the word Wahhabi-Shia divide. Sunnis refers to the moderate mainstream Muslims who have taught and practiced peace and compassion for centuries, whereas Wahhabism is a very new appearance over the last 300 years, which believes in extremism, and unfortunately, this is the official creed of Saudi Arabia. My concern is that in the Middle East in particular, it's taking away attention from the real issue, which is Daesh. And like your respected guest, I don't think that the effects of this Wahhabi-Shia divide will actually manifest itself so much here in the United Kingdom. Number one, because the Sunnis are in the majorities, meaning the moderate Muslims. And number two, because despite our small theological differences, the mainstream Sufi Sunni Muslims work together with the Shias in areas where we have a common interest when it comes to mosques, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to economics. We share our ideas, we respect one another. Unfortunately, the Wahhabi creed respects no one.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, no doubt. I think many of the words resonate with a lot of Muslims in the UK. I believe that, as he mentioned, a lot of the Sufi groups that you see in the UK have worked hard alongside the Shia groups to bring a peaceful coexistence and dialogue. There's a fantastic initiative very soon called the Love Muhammad campaign, where Sunni and Shia are all coming together with a common denominator. They're not allowing the fringe elements to succeed, because there are fringe elements.
Well, there are fringe elements.
Yes.
And actually, I want to ask Dr. Al-Asri about this, because what about the younger generation? What about those youths we see being radicalised? Are they, frankly, are they being left out from this? Are they the ones who are struggling to get through? Are they being fed by this dispute?
I really don't think so. When we talk about the very small minority of youngsters who are being radicalized, again, it's because of the Wahhabi-sponsored petrodollars that are helping that. The mainstream Muslims here, because of the ethos and the social fabric of Great Britain, I suppose, as well, that plays a great factor, is that we don't look at our differences, we look at our similarities. Muslims have always been taught to, as much as possible, focus on what you have in common. We are all the children of Adam. And it's this mindset of the extremists, that Daesh and Wahhabis, who are related by their theological beliefs, who try to draw upon the differences. I don't think so that's good. And I know that I speak for many of our youngsters who just want to live in a society where they are respected and they can respect others, where peace and compassion prevail, and where we can work to benefit one another.
So Dr. Nakshawani, why is it so different here in the UK?
Well, we grew up, some of my best friends growing up in school were Muslims from other sects. You know, I've broken my fast in their houses. I've celebrated Eid alongside them. There's no way that what's going to happen in the Middle East is going to make me generalize on every Muslim in the UK. I know a lot of guys, a lot of my brothers and sisters in Islam over here who have spoken out very clearly and vociferously against ISIS and the acts of ISIS. So I think the assimilation into the culture over here, that open-mindedness, free thought, let's agree to agree and also agree to disagree on certain areas, meant that we were able to appreciate each other's heritage. Sadly, sometimes in villages in the Middle East, certain illiterate communities can be indoctrinated very easily. Not that that can't happen in the UK, it can happen. But I think we're speaking out much more against those fringe elements. Those fringe elements were receiving a lot of media coverage, and I'm happy that myself and the Imam are now receiving more media coverage than people who look like a cast from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Sure.
You know, now at least people who have been born and bred in this country are now the ones who are getting some of the press coverage.
Well,
and that's fundamental.
It's been great to hear from both of you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.